December 23, 2015, Connecticut. 41-year-old Richard Dabate frantically called 911, claiming that a masked intruder had broken into their home and attacked both him and his wife, Connie Dabate. He said they were left covered in blood. When authorities rushed to the scene, the sight that greeted them was shocking. But this tragedy was only the beginning of a much darker truth. You are watching Eternal Crime Files, and if you're ready, let's begin. Around 10:30 in the morning, when police arrived at the Dabate residence, the scene was nothing short of a nightmare. On the main floor, Richard lay on the ground, still partially tied to a chair, having managed to free one leg and one arm. His body was covered in shallow cuts, and he groaned in pain, scanning the room with eyes full of fear and confusion. The home's alarm system was still blaring, its shrill siren echoing the chaos. Everything was in complete disarray. Richard claimed that a masked intruder had broken in, that he confronted the man upstairs, and after a struggle, he was knocked unconscious. He said he awoke to the sound of a gunshot, rushed to the basement, and found his wife, Connie, lying motionless on the ground. According to Richard, he fought the intruder again, blacked out once more, and woke up tied to the chair. His voice trembled as he spoke, his breathing uneven, every word laced with the weight of trauma. When officers descended into the basement, they found 39-year-old Connie Dabate, a mother of two, lying lifeless in the corner. The smell of gunpowder still hung heavy in the air, and smoke lingered. The initial examination revealed that she had been fatally shot in the stomach and the back of the head. The basement bore the marks of violence. While Richard was rushed to the hospital, Connie's body was sent for autopsy. At first glance, the home looked like the scene of a brutal robbery, but something felt off. Despite the chaos, valuables like jewelry and cash in the master bedroom remained untouched. There were no signs of forced entry. The alarm system had triggered properly and was still active. Only one basement window was found partially open. The murder weapon was recovered from the basement and taken for analysis. Investigators began collecting security camera footage from around the neighborhood. While Richard's full statement was pending, officers warned local residents door to door about a supposed masked intruder. That Christmas season, normally a time of joy, was instead clouded by fear and uncertainty. The neighborhood fell under a heavy silence. Children were too frightened to go outside, families triple-locked their doors, and neighbors struggled to believe that such horror had unfolded so close to home. When Richard regained consciousness at the hospital, detectives quickly took his statement. He claimed that at around 8 a.m., he left the house to drop off the children at school. By about 8:30, he said he returned home to grab something before heading to work and saw his wife Connie in the garage, getting ready for her workout. According to Richard, as he drove away, he realized he had forgotten his laptop. He said he emailed his boss from his phone to let him know he'd be late, and on his way back, he received a notification from the home's alarm system. At around 9 a.m., Richard said he entered the house and heard noises coming from the master bedroom upstairs. When he rushed up, he claimed to have seen a masked intruder dressed in camouflage, rummaging through Connie's jewelry. Richard said the man threatened him with a sharp object and demanded his wallet and banking pins. At that moment, Connie returned home after receiving the alarm alert. Richard claimed he yelled at her to run, but instead, Connie fled toward the basement. Richard stated that he tried to chase after the intruder, but was struck and knocked unconscious on the main floor. He said he awoke to the sound of gunshots coming from the basement. When he rushed downstairs, he claimed he found Connie lying motionless on the ground. Nearby, Richard said he tried to fend off the attacker with a blowtorch, injuring himself in the process. He alleged the intruder struck him again, knocking him out. and when he woke up, he was bound to the chair. When asked to describe the assailant, Richard identified him as a stocky man, about 5'9", with a deep voice. But the description was vague and gave investigators little to work with. Detectives were left reeling from the brutality of the attack. The case wasn't just a violent assault. It was layered with psychological complexity. To widen the investigation, they began interviewing people close to the couple. Friends told police that just months earlier, after a home renovation project, the Dabates had clashed with their contractor, leading to a lawsuit worth several $1,000s. They also revealed that not long after the dispute, the couple's car windows had been smashed. And out of fear, Richard and Connie had purchased 2 firearms for protection. Investigators immediately checked the basement firearm that had been recovered at the scene. Ballistics confirmed it belonged to the Dabates. Police detained the contractor, but during questioning he explained that he had worked on their bathroom renovation, quit after disagreements, and the matter ended up in court. Since he didn't match Richard's description and cooperated fully, he was released. Attention then turned to the forensic evidence. While awaiting detailed crime scene analysis and body examination, Connie's autopsy results came in. The report stated that she had died from multiple gunshot wounds, one to the abdomen and another to the back of the head. Her death was officially ruled a homicide. This discovery pushed detectives to dig deeper into the couple's past. Richard and Connie had first met in high school, and after graduating in 1995, they each pursued their careers. Connie became a pharmaceutical sales representative, while Richard started working as an IT manager. On July 4, 2003, they married. Connie was 27, Richard was 26. From the outside, they appeared to be a happy and compatible couple, raising 2 young boys together. Connie was the primary breadwinner and deeply devoted to her children, while Richard portrayed himself as a helpful, supportive husband. As the new year approached, Connie's family, friends, and the Ellington community prepared for her funeral. Despite the freezing cold, hundreds gathered to pay their respects. Detectives carefully observed the crowd, analyzing behaviors and searching for any hidden clues. Richard's demeanor drew particular attention. His eyes seemed empty. His face carried neither grief nor anger. Detectives noted how detached and emotionless he appeared. Leaving the service before it ended only deepened suspicion. The community's pressure was mounting. People wanted an arrest. They wanted justice. Yet, the lack of hard evidence left investigators struggling. Meanwhile, Richard posted on social media, claiming he was trying to stay strong for his children and thanking those who supported him. Still, townspeople said they noticed changes in his behavior. Only days after the funeral, Richard hired an attorney to secure his children's future and filed a claim for Connie's $475,000 life insurance policy. He also withdrew $93,000 from an investment account. These moves caught detectives' attention and made them look closer. They turned to Connie's phone and smartwatch data. On her phone, they found a note titled, "Why I Want a Divorce." In it, Connie wrote that Richard was irresponsible with money, a poor parent, and showed her neither attention nor love. She accused him of taking money from accounts that weren't his, apologizing but never taking accountability. She also confessed she had no idea what he did during the day or who he spent time with. The note revealed their marriage had become consumed by constant arguments and fights. But the most shocking discovery came from Connie's smartwatch. It had been recording her movements, location, and heart rate. The timeline didn't match Richard's account. According to the device, Connie was still active until 9 a.m., a direct contradiction to Richard's 9/11 call and his initial statement about the time of the murder. Even more damning, surveillance footage proved Connie had been at a fitness center during the time Richard claimed she had already returned home. This evidence dismantled his version of events. The actual time of the murder didn't align with Richard's story. Following these digital trails, detectives felt they were finally one step closer to uncovering the truth hidden in the shadows. Richard's conflicting statements and his unsettlingly cold demeanor after Connie's death made investigators view him as their prime suspect. From that point forward, the entire case would revolve around him. The team began reconstructing Richard's movements on the day of the murder by analyzing every digital footprint. His home computer was seized first. Records showed he had logged into his social media accounts around 8:30 a.m., which initially aligned with his statement. But his claim that he left home for work, realized he had forgotten his laptop, and then emailed his boss from his phone was quickly disproven. Technical analysis revealed that the email was actually sent from his home computer, not his phone, proving beyond doubt that Richard was still at the house. At 8:46 a.m., he logged into the home's alarm system. At 8:50, he disabled it. Then again at 9:23, the alarm was switched off once more. Finally, at 10:12 a.m., Richard's key fob reactivated the system. This timeline made it painfully clear. Richard was home and directly at the center of the events when the murder occurred. Armed with this evidence, detectives concluded that Richard had killed his wife for financial gain. A warrant was issued and he was taken into custody. But when investigators dug into his phone, they uncovered an even darker and more complicated picture. Records showed heated arguments with a woman named Sarah Ganser, following a vacation photo Richard had posted online of himself and Connie in Vermont. In these exchanges, Richard promised Sarah that he would be leaving Connie soon. On the same day, Connie's phone showed a bitter text exchange between her and Richard. She accused him of lying about a bill, writing, "You lied to me again, and here I am cleaning up your mess. Perfect way to spend a holiday. Merry Christmas. This is going to be a great one." Connie had no idea that Richard had a secret credit card. With it, he had purchased flowers for Sarah, stayed in hotels, and even spent over $1,000 in a nightclub. Investigators also uncovered his chilling internet search history. Richard had been researching dangerous over-the-counter drug combinations, homemade poisons that left no trace, and even tasteless toxins. These searches painted a disturbing picture, exposing his sinister intent long before the night of the murder. During interrogation, when detectives asked Richard about his relationship with Sarah, his response left them stunned. Richard admitted that he had known Sarah since high school and that they had been involved in an on-and-off relationship for years. He also revealed that Connie knew about Sarah's existence. He explained that by May 2015, his relationship with Sarah had become more frequent. Since Connie was facing health issues that prevented her from having another child, Sarah had agreed to act as a surrogate. Just a month later, Sarah became pregnant and pressured Richard to leave Connie. Richard claimed he had wanted a divorce and had even tried to contact an attorney. At the time of Connie's death, Sarah was only 8 weeks away from giving birth. But detectives quickly noticed glaring inconsistencies between Richard's story and the timeline of events. The time of the murder he described did not match the data recovered from Connie's smartwatch. The device showed that she was still active up until 9:59 a.m., a direct contradiction to Richard's 9/11 call and his initial statement. The heart rate and movement data painted a chilling picture. Connie was not fleeing an intruder, but instead faced a threat from inside her own home. Every digital trace dismantled Richard's account, showing his version of events was a carefully constructed lie. When combined with his demeanor, these findings revealed Richard not as a grieving husband, but as someone who had orchestrated a calculated plan. The events of that morning carried the marks of cold-blooded preparation. He hadn't just ended his wife's life, he attempted to control the narrative afterward, using social media posts to gain sympathy and portraying himself as a father staying strong for his children. Behind this facade, however, lay a chillingly deliberate scheme. In April 2017, Richard was officially arrested and charged with murder, evidence tampering, and providing false statements to the police. The state police emphasized that the investigation had been exhaustive, with every clue followed and every voice heard. Connie's family firmly believed that justice would soon be served, but the trial didn't move forward immediately. Prosecutors argued that there wasn't yet enough evidence to prove Richard's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Gathering solid proof took nearly 1.5 years, as investigators knew the entire case could collapse without airtight evidence. Richard was released on a $1 million bond and remained free while awaiting trial. During this time, he continued raising a child with Sarah. In 2019, tragedy struck again when Connie's father passed away after a long illness. Her brother later shared that their father simply couldn't bear the weight of the situation any longer and died without ever seeing his daughter's killer behind bars. Richard's trial was originally scheduled for April 2020. However, the COVID-19 pandemic and the unexpected death of his attorney from the virus pushed the case back. Finally, in April 2022, 6 long years after Connie's death, the trial officially began, drawing international attention. Prosecutors first presented photos of Richard's injuries and clothing from the hospital. Medical reports confirmed that his wounds were superficial, showing no signs of serious trauma. Investigators also testified that police dogs had failed to detect the scent of any intruder in the home. Neighborhood cameras showed no strangers nearby, and no foreign DNA was found at the scene. The murder weapon, a handgun, was proven to belong to Richard. It carried no other DNA signatures. Claims of a fire were unsupported by any physical evidence, and Richard's wallet remained untouched in the house. The defense argued that police had been focused solely on Richard from the very beginning, shaping their investigation around him rather than remaining open to other suspects. Yet officers countered this by showing they had thoroughly followed every lead, even detaining a contractor at one point before ruling out anyone else. Technological evidence, the lack of outside DNA, Richard's shifting testimony, and his tangled personal life all pointed in a single direction: Richard himself. Prosecutors described him as a ticking time bomb, driven by the fear of losing his reputation, financial stability, and custody of his children if Connie pursued divorce. The trial lasted 4 weeks. Connie's sister took the stand and recalled a chilling family gathering shortly after the murder. Richard had been present and told relatives, "I didn't do it. Someone else was in the house. I need a lawyer." The family noticed that while he appeared pale and claimed to be devastated, he showed no genuine emotion as he recounted events around the kitchen table. Her sister also testified that Richard bizarrely brought up a planned family trip to Great Wolf Lodge, saying he'd now have to find someone else to go with. The judge urged both sides to finalize their arguments quickly, and prosecutors aimed to wrap their case within a week. On the stand, Richard admitted he loved both women, that he felt trapped and desperate. But he insisted that didn't make him a murderer. He even claimed that he missed Connie deeply. Sarah testified that Richard would never harm his children, that he never wanted to see his family fall apart, and that she was content raising her daughter on her own. Through tears, she insisted she had never pressured Richard to leave Connie, never encouraged violence, and believed Richard would never agree to such a thing. After a 5-week trial, in May 2022, the jury found Richard guilty on all charges. They concluded the murder was carried out in a calculated and cruel manner, sentencing him to 65 years in prison. Connie's family broke down in tears as the verdict was read. Connie's sister, Leslie, now raises her 2 young sons. The children are only just beginning to accept what their father did to their mother. Connie's mother still remembers her last phone call with her daughter, holding tightly to the memory of her very first words. For her family, justice had finally been served. Connie's memory lives on in the hearts of those who loved her. But her tragic end is more than just the story of a murder. It is a chilling reminder of how fragile trust can be and how devastating betrayal from the ones closest to us truly is. Richard destroyed a home built on love, replacing it with lies and blood. What remains are two children growing up without their mother and a family left to carry the weight of shattered dreams. This case reminds us that sometimes the greatest dangers are hidden in the shadows of those we trust the most. May Connie Dabate's soul, taken too soon, rest in peace. Thank you for spending your time with us here on Silent Night. Supporting us with a like helps more than you know. I look forward to meeting you in the comments and seeing you in the next video. Take care, and until then, goodbye.